Petit, j'étais très curieux, mais très turbulent. Très turbulent, mes parents peuvent le dire, là. J'étais très turbulent, je me battais beaucoup. Je me battais vraiment beaucoup à l'école. J'étais pas un élève difficile, mais j'avais de la difficulté à gérer mes émotions. Donc, j'étais très, très agressif. Maternelle, première année, chaque mardi après-midi, j'avais un deal avec mon directeur d'école qui s'appelait M. Noël. Quand j'avais une bonne semaine, chaque mardi, j'allais dans son bureau, puis il me donnait des crayons, puis je dessinais, puis il me parlait, puis il me disait « Ah, ben tu sais, c'est bien, ça s'est bien passé cette semaine ». Puis il me donnait une galette puis un berlingot de lait. Je m'en rappelle encore. Donc, mes parents voyaient où je m'enlignais, très jeune et tout. Donc, mes parents ont décidé de faire le sacrifice. Ils m'ont retiré de l'école publique, ils m'ont envoyé à l'école privée au Myland. Je faisais 1 heure d'autobus pour justement pas tomber dans les bribes de la délinquance et tout. Jason Dumervil. Je suis né le 29 décembre 1995 à Montréal. J'ai grandi toute ma vie à Montréal-Nord. J'ai 4 sœurs, donc je suis le seul garçon à la maison. J'ai grandi à Montréal-Nord. Mes parents voyaient où je m'enlignais, très jeune et tout. Donc mes parents ont décidé de faire le sacrifice. Ils m'ont retiré de l'école publique, ils m'ont envoyé à l'école privée au Myland. Je faisais 1 heure d'autobus pour justement pas tomber dans les bribes de la délinquance et tout. Donc, je vais dire merci à mes parents parce que peut-être aujourd'hui, si c'était pas d'eux, peut-être cette solution-là, je serais peut-être tombé dans une très mauvaise route. Il y a des jeunes que tu vois, avec qui tu as grandi, qu'à l'âge de 16 ans, certains meurent aussi. Il y a des choses quand même que tu vois. Sinon, c'est aussi quelque chose qui m'a beaucoup sauvé dans la vie, qui m'a permis de peut-être contrôler mon agressivité. C'était beaucoup le football. J'ai joué au football très jeune. C'était mon beau-frère qui m'avait inscrit au football. Il m'a dit « Oh, toi, là, t'as beaucoup d'agressivité, là, faut que tu te défoules. Fait que je vais te mettre au football. » Je commençais à jouer au football. Puis honnêtement, ça m'a beaucoup aidé parce que cette agressivité, ces frustrations-là, il faut la mettre de façon positive sur le terrain. Puis ça m'a aussi beaucoup aidé parce que, tu sais, les études, le football, mais ça te permet de pas aller dans une mauvaise route, t'es toujours occupé, t'es pas en train de traîner à faire des niaiseries et tout. Une enfance quand même assez heureuse, je dirais. Donc une maison quand même, on est 5 enfants à la maison, donc beaucoup de bruit, me faire martyriser par mes sœurs et tout. Donc c'était des choses assez le fun. Aujourd'hui, entre l'R5, on décide qu'est-ce que tu veux faire de ta vie. Puis je me rappelle, il y avait la journée d'orientation, là, il vient de te parler, « Ah, mais toi, qu'est-ce que tu veux faire? » Puis je savais pas vraiment ce que je voulais faire. Puis j'ai 2 de mes amis qui, eux, voulaient aller en génie civil. Je me suis dit, si eux, ils y vont, je vais y aller, sans vraiment savoir c'est quoi. Puis on rentre en génie civil, on a fait 1 an, c'était le pire 1 an que j'ai fait aussi jeune. Par la suite, je suis rentré à l'université, mais encore une fois à l'université. Je suis rentré à l'université, puis j'ai décidé d'aller en économie. Puis je me rappelle, mon père me disait, ah, toi, économie, je sais pas. Je suis allé, puis il avait raison. Il faut écouter ses parents, il avait raison. Au final, j'ai fait 1 an, j'ai pas aimé, puis j'ai changé de programme, je suis allé en marketing, puis j'ai vraiment aimé ce domaine-là. Je trouvais que c'était beaucoup dans la psychologie, de comment les gens pensent, comment aussi promouvoir des idées, comment communiquer avec les gens. Au niveau communautaire, je me suis toujours un peu impliqué, puis de fil en aiguille, j'ai des modèles, des mentors qui m'ont un peu appris comment fonctionnent les choses. J'ai quand même beaucoup d'expériences, des jobs, j'en ai fait beaucoup, des expériences, même bénévolat, j'en ai fait beaucoup, puis ça m'a permis d'avoir beaucoup de contenu qui font en sorte qu'aujourd'hui, je peux faire le travail que je fais.
Le 3737 Crémazie S, ça s'appelait Western Textile. C'est une manufacture, une shop. Puis généralement, c'était beaucoup des gens issus de la diversité qui venaient travailler là. Tu avais les Italiens, les Grecs, les Arabes, beaucoup d'Haïtiens. Puis la majorité des gens qui venaient ici, c'était des Haïtiens. Mais souvent, quand tu venais ici, tu pouvais travailler une journée, l'autre journée, tu ne travaillais pas. Fait que tu faisais la file, puis le contremaître sortait et disait « Toi, rentre, aujourd'hui, on n'a pas de job pour le reste. » Fait que tu peux travailler du jour au lendemain, on te fout dehors. Bon, sortant à l'intérieur, tu vis beaucoup de racisme. tu as des mauvaises conditions de travail, tu es moins bien payé que tout le monde. Puis, la mère de Franck Saint-Émy travaillait là. Puis, exemple, ma grand-mère a travaillé là. Même ma mère a travaillé là, dans les années 80. Puis, Franck Saint-Émy, ce qu'il a fait quand il a réussi dans la vie, il a voulu lancer un incubateur pour les gens issus de la communauté noire. Il a décidé d'acheter 3 étages du 3737 Crémazie S. Parce que pour lui, c'était un statement. C'était que, historiquement, ma mère rentrait ici la tête baissée. Mais moi, quand je rentre ici, je m'assure que ma communauté et moi-même, on rentre la tête haute.
C'est un incubateur qui accompagne les entrepreneurs de la diversité ethnoculturelle. C'est 52 employés, 12 bureaux au pays. On gère plusieurs gros projets, dont le projet où je travaille présentement, qui est l'initiative Appui des communautés noires du Canada. Donc, c'est un fonds d'environ 100 millions de dollars au total depuis 2020. Au Québec, c'est 34 millions de dollars qui a été distribué. Donc, moi, ce que je fais à tous les jours, mais c'est un peu, premièrement, d'accompagner les entrepreneurs sociaux issus de la communauté noire, mais aussi les donner du coaching, d'accompagnement, puis de les faire comprendre que oui, il y a des enjeux systémiques, de racisme, de manque d'opportunités, mais quand par la suite tu t'améliores, tu te demandes que tu fais des belles choses, l'enjeu systémique, il peut plus être un enjeu, puis nous on s'arrange pour que ce soit plus un enjeu, mais toi, il faut que tu comprennes aussi que c'est pas un frein à tes projets. Donc ça fait ça aussi, c'est aussi de donner de l'espoir aux gens. Puis, mis à part là, oui, je donne des subventions à des entrepreneurs pour qu'ils puissent avancer dans leur projet. Au final aussi, c'est les aider à comprendre encore une fois que le racisme fait partie des choses. Mais au final, ton projet, il faut qu'il arrive à bout. Donc, on va t'aider, on va t'accompagner, donner du coaching et des opportunités.
Quand j'ai commencé, non, j'avais pas de barbe. Je faisais pas de barbe, là, j'avais un pinch et tout. Puis, juste ça, j'ai commencé. Otis m'a dit, faut que tu pousses une barbe. Il m'a dit ça comme, première semaine, il dit, faut que tu pousses une barbe. T'as l'air trop jeune. Puis, ça peut jouer contre toi. Puis, honnêtement, la première semaine a été tough. Comme, j'ai fait la première semaine, j'étais comme, oh, parce que j'avais un contrat de 6 mois, puis j'étais comme, est-ce que je vais rester comme,
Il y a, puis ça c'est les vestiges de l'esclavage, disons, il y a un grand enjeu de confiance et de collaboration entre les organisations de la communauté noire. En fait, compte, c'est que les Noirs ont cette mauvaise manie de penser que nécessairement un Noir qui fait des belles choses, ben, il fait quelque chose de croche, ou que nécessairement tu ne peux pas faire confiance à un Noir. Puis dans toutes les communautés, il y a des enjeux, mais c'est juste que chez la communauté noire, c'est comme si c'est un staples. Exemple, en créole, il y a une expression qui dit, c'est une expression là, puis tout le monde le dit, haïtien pas bon. Ça veut dire que les haïtiens ne sont pas bons. Puis c'est un terme qui est ancré chez nous. Puis c'est ancré depuis la plantation. Puis il y a beaucoup de déconstruction mentale à faire dans nos communautés qui font en sorte que, oui, il y a des enjeux de racisme dans la société, mais si en tant que communauté, on n'est pas capable de se faire confiance, comment tu penses que le système va pouvoir réagir et agir avec toi? Le programme qu'on gère depuis 2020, c'est pas un fonds qui est comme récurrent. Donc, qu'est-ce qu'on veut dire par récurrent? C'est qu'à chaque année, le gouvernement dit, ben vous, on vous donne 5 millions pendant 10 ans, puis vous donnez de l'argent pendant 10 ans. Nous, non. Notre fonds, il est très relié aux politiques. Puis, ce qui arrive souvent, c'est que quand il va avoir, même malgré le programme, il y a beaucoup d'impact, sur 15 millions de dollars qu'on avait distribués, on a eu une augmentation de revenus de 45 millions de dollars au total sur un portefeuille de 206 organisations. Ça, c'est que au Québec. Je parle que pour le Québec. Ce qui arrive maintenant, c'est que tout ce qui est équité, diversité, inclusion, c'est plus à la mode. En 2020, c'était à la mode. Aujourd'hui, c'est moins à la mode. Mais il y a des partis politiques qui sont beaucoup plus ouverts sur tout ce qui est discussion au niveau de la diversité, puis il y en a d'autres qui veulent rien savoir. Puis, présentement, on voit que le parti qui veut rien savoir sûrement, ben lui, il est comme très ouvert à couper ce programme-là. Avoir de l'argent, c'est le fun. En donner, c'est le fun, mais c'est aussi très ingrat. J'ai des organisations qui ont reçu de l'argent. Il y en a 2 qui n'ont pas reçu d'argent. Elle a vu qu'une organisation qui fait la même chose qu'elle a reçu 60 000. Par exemple, elle a reçu 30 000. Elle va me dire « Oh, mais pourquoi j'ai eu moins qu'elle ?» Beaucoup de gens, lorsqu'ils ne sont pas financés, ils le prennent personnel. Des gens qui, des fois, en tout cas, je pourrais aller en long et en large, mais qui disent que j'aurais participé à leur envoûtement spirituel. Il y a beaucoup de choses. Je pourrais aller en long et en large. Il y a beaucoup de gens qui sont fâchés quand je donne pas d'argent, quand on donne pas d'argent, puis c'est pas moi qui prends la décision. Qu'est-ce qui arrive pour beaucoup d'organisations, le fond du travail, c'est des fois la seule chance qu'ils ont d'avoir du financement. Malgré qu'on a supporté 300 organisations, exemple, cette année, ils vont dire que oui, mais les Noirs, vous donnez de l'argent qu'à vos amis. Nécessairement, il y a la corruption. Donc, si son projet n'a pas été financé, c'est que, on le sait, vous, le groupe 3737, vous donnez de l'argent à vos amis. Si je donne l'argent à mes amis, j'ai 300 organisations qui sont mes amis. Je suis une personne extrêmement populaire. Extrêmement populaire. Écoute, là, je devrais me partir une business, puis avec tous ces gens-là, là, écoute, 300 personnes, j'ai un excellent réseau contact. Ben, c'est une bonne, je crois que ma femme peut le dire, là. Je travaille beaucoup. Puis il y a une situation qui m'est arrivée, je vais en parler, parce qu'aujourd'hui, je suis capable d'en parler. J'ai perdu un enfant. Tu te noies dans le travail, je me rappelle, là, je voulais, ma femme venait me parler, oh, tu te sens bien? Puis je dis, comment tu me parles là? Moi, je me sens bien, là, comme un garçon doit rester un garçon, tu dois rester solide. Puis je me rappelle, tu travailles beaucoup, tu veux pas parler de tes émotions, tu veux pas te parler de comment tu te sens. Puis je me rappelle, je suis allé au CLC, je me rappelle. J'avais une discussion avec une dame. Puis tu sais, quand tu parles avec les gens, des fois, oui, je suis né au Québec, mais je viens d'une culture haïtienne où parler de ses émotions, c'est extrêmement difficile. Puis je me rappelle, la madame ne comprenait pas vraiment ma réalité. Puis j'ai décidé de prendre du temps pour moi. J'ai appelé un organisme communautaire que j'accompagne. Puis je lui ai dit, j'ai des enjeux, je veux parler. Fait qu'elle est venue au bureau. Puis je lui ai parlé que je venais de perdre un enfant, que je pouvais pas vraiment parler de comment je me sentais parce que culturellement, on le fait pas. Puis aussi, que je me noyais dans le travail et tout. Puis elle m'a dit, tu sais quoi, c'est comme un mécanisme de protection, disons. Puis j'ai pris du temps avec elle. J'ai pris comme 2 ou 3 séances. Puis ça m'a aidé honnêtement. Puis c'était en fait compte une organisation qui accompagne les hommes noirs au niveau de leur santé mentale, de comment dealer avec certaines situations. Parce que chez nous, c'est très tabou. Je ne vais pas dire qu'elle m'a sauvé la vie, mais elle m'a aidé à comprendre certaines choses sur moi. Que des fois, c'est pas parce que tu pleures pas que tu es insensible, c'est juste une personne qui pleure pas dans la vie. Que parler de ses émotions, c'est correct, puis je le fais beaucoup plus. Je suis une personne qui communique beaucoup plus, qui n'a pas peur de parler de ses émotions, mais surtout de prendre du temps pour soi. Oui, des fois, c'est très dur entendre les enjeux des gens, mais nécessairement, tu n'as pas le temps de penser à toi, à tes enjeux. Parce que la job, honnêtement, si je dis que je fais 35,5 heures par semaine, c'est pas vrai, je fais plus que ça. Il y a des heures que je compte pas. Juste hier, j'étais au resto, il y a quelqu'un qui m'a appelé à 11h du soir, puis j'ai répondu. Parce que c'est comme devenu naturel des fois de répondre à des choses sur la job. Puis il m'appelait pour me parler d'un enjeu qu'il y avait, puis il avait besoin d'un conseil, puis je lui ai donné le conseil. Des fois, je suis un très mauvais ami, ou un très mauvais mari, ou un très mauvais fils. Les gens vont m'appeler, puis je vais pas répondre nécessairement parce que je suis toujours sur la job. Puis je suis comme, OK, oui, je vais le rappeler, lui, c'est correct, mais l'organisme que j'accompagne, je peux pas le rappeler parce que des fois, il y a peut-être un enjeu, il faut que je décroche. Puis des fois, oui, je prends pas le temps pour moi. La job que je fais, des fois, c'est de donner de l'espoir un peu aux gens, les donner dans les conseils dans leur projet, puis de les mettre quand même en sécurité, qui font en sorte que j'ai toujours ce sentiment-là d'être sur la job. Je le fais pas parce que je sens que je suis obligé de le faire, je le fais parce que j'aime ma job. Je suis passionné par ma job.
Jason, qu'est-ce qu'il représente pour moi? Tout d'abord, c'est comme un frère, un ami.
Moi, c'est Elisabeth, je suis la femme de Jason. Pour moi, Jason, il représente l'image même de l'homme qui est travaillant, qui est impliqué dans sa communauté. C'est quelqu'un qui veut faire la différence.
Jason est pour moi un fils, un ami, un conseiller et un confident.
Le travail que je fais, je ne sens pas que j'ai besoin nécessairement qu'on me valorise, honnêtement. On accompagne des projets, mais je crois que les gens ne connaissent pas les gens derrière qui accompagnent. Parce que nous, on met beaucoup de l'avant nos OBN, mais ne sommes pas vraiment l'avant les employés, ce qu'ils font.
C'est le genre de personne qui n'a pas d'horaire de travail fixe. Donc, si on a besoin de lui, si on a besoin d'un conseil, on a besoin d'aide, on sait qu'on peut l'appeler.
Oui, j'ai eu des reconnaissances, j'ai eu des certificats genre d'implication de député, de ministère et tout. Ben justement, au mois de février, je suis... quand on me met à l'honneur dans un gala de la communauté, donc justement une autre organisation qui accompagne des hommes, principalement des hommes de la communauté noire au niveau de tout ce qui est santé mentale. C'est comme la vie vient te reprendre full circle. Il y a des gens qui ont été des mentors pour moi quand j'étais jeune, quand je jouais au football, qu'aujourd'hui ils ont des organismes à but non lucratif que j'accompagne, j'ai des discussions avec eux. Puis c'est comme toi, t'es tel jeune là qu'on disait de courir, faire les allers-retours, tu voulais pas faire les allers-retours, il t'explique beaucoup de choses comme ça. Fait que la vie vient te reprendre. Des fois, c'est comme, tu revois des gens, puis t'es comme, OK, t'es rendu là dans la vie, puis t'es capable d'accompagner ces gens-là, puis de voir différemment. C'est comme, toi, j'aurais jamais cru que tu serais là en train de donner de l'argent, puis d'accompagner les gens.
When I was a kid, I was sure I was going to jail. I was sure. I'm like, oh my God, for sure I'm going to jail. Like, that's not what I should be dreaming of. For whatever reason, I had a very close grandmother, my bubby, who helped me. And everyone needs to have like a role model like that. And to know that they can do it. Because it's amazing, honestly. It's amazing that we're here. Yeah, I know what it is. I was just saying. Mentors. Married 2 acts early. Married 2 acts early. So, she is Mohawk from Ganawage. She fell in love with an Irishman, went to New York City, married him, lived there for many years. Her husband passed away. Came back to Ganawage, was not allowed to return to the community because there was the government that decided that if you are a Native woman who marries a white man, you lose your Indian status. But if you are a Native man that marries a white woman, then you get your status. So there's all these white people that have Indian status and all the benefits of having Indian status, but all the Native women that married out are not allowed to be back in the community, and their children aren't allowed to get status. They don't get the $5 a year or going to school or anything like that. It took her 20 years to fight, right? So she and another group of Indigenous women from all over Canada got together and said, this is unfair, this is discriminatory, and we need to get our status back. And she fought and fought and fought The only thing that ended up working after 20 years was she went to the UN and she said, this is what's happening in Canada. And the UN was like, oh, Canada? Really? You're doing this? Canada was like, oh, so sorry. And then in 1985, they changed the law, Bill C-31. So every Indigenous woman who lost their Indian status got it back. So I met Mary Tuax early and I was like, you're awesome. I want to be like you. I want to change the law. Also, Rena Daibo. She's someone that when I started my career at the Native Women's Shelter, she thought that I would be a great executive director. At the time, I was like frontline, or I don't remember what I was. She's someone that I respect and look, and ask for help whenever I need it. So those are some.
I run. I run to the hills and sing my praises to my inner child because she reminds me of the beauty of a rainbow in the rain, the excitement of mud between my toes, the happiness of life's simplicity. She is the first pearl in my ocean. I run to the ocean, where all my tears from years past have collected, knowing that if I blow it a kiss, the least it will do is wave back. And if I'm lucky, my salty sweat from all that I have run from will one day bathe me clean.
I know that, I was adopted by a Jewish family. So I have ties to the Jewish community. And, I know that sometimes if I watch a documentary, like I was watching The Reluctant Traveler, right? I don't like to travel either. So we watched that. And Eugene Levy goes to Germany and he goes to this really high-end cafe. And the waiter says, this used to be a bunk where, the Germans would, kill Jews, something like that. And then the waiter's like, but we believe that this was the wrong thing. And, that's what reconciliation is. I have been talking about doing this PPT in a way for years, because every time it's September 30th and we're doing these marches, and I do the marches, I organize it, I bring all the people together, and I'm like, why can't we just hand out subpoenas? If I'm led to where I am today in society, there are a lot of pieces, there are a lot of things that needed to happen. So there's a reason and there's a purpose. Everyone has a purpose, right? And that you need to sort of figure out what it is. And if you're not sure, ask someone. Because Rena was like, you're an ED. I am? Okay.
I'm not a racist, what's your basis? I have no power. I'm just an angry savage when I see faces on Mount Rushmore and Columbus at Coit Tower. They always ask me if I live in a teepee. Nah, I got these bars on my arms, a lonely nation, can't you see me? Looks like my tribe can't get no federal recognitions. All we get is genocide and tribal divisions. No land, no food, just this concrete reservation. And some of y'all still wondering how I haven't lost my patience? Cause I'm sitting back, dreaming about the end of this occupation.
Preconceived notions about Indigenous people, and this is the way. So if you look around, you'll see that it's not just Indigenous people, there's non-Indigenous people too. I sit on a committee with other community members, and we try to figure out what is the solution.
Last year, I got invited to this meeting with Amnesty International. They have an office in Montreal. It's Amnesty International Canada Francophone. The woman who runs Amnesty International, who lives in Paris, came to Montreal, wanted to meet with Indigenous people. I think they wanted to ask me about 60 Scoop, which I'm a survivor of 60 Scoop, and I wasn't really interested. I asked Amnesty, I said, so, this whole thing about mass graves. I'm like, how do we get our own Nuremberg trial? And she said, well, the closest thing you can have is a permanent people's tribunal. So I was like, hook me up. So what Amnesty did was they wrote a letter to the PPT. Now they are based in Rome, and you have to request their services. And they said, yeah, this is a crime against humanity. You would fit into, receiving our services. He wrote a fantastic letter on behalf of the Native Women's Shelter and Amnesty. And they said yes. So now it's like, it's a go. So can you imagine having a permanent people's tribunal? They have not been to Canada often. They have been around for 50 years and have been all over the world and only been to Canada 3 times. So when they come in, we are going to be presenting different types of evidence to them to show that this is an alleged crime against humanity. And when we show all the evidence, then they will make their judgment. And when they make their judgment that it truly is, hopefully, crimes against humanity, then I think that's going to change things. I hope it's going to change things. I think that, like in the spirit of idle no more, we are always waiting for someone to do something. I think that since Murray Sinclair passed away, and his dying wish being somebody do something about, implementing the rest of the TRCs, it's not us that has to do it. It's the government that has to do it. How do you make the government do their job? How do you make them honor their treaties? How do you do it? Let's try this PPT and see if that works. I can't be at peace when there's always these horrible things happening to Indigenous people. I can't be like, oh, I'm at peace because the next day I read something. I'm like, are you kidding me? Right? Like every day there's something. I think I have moments, when I'm with my kids or with my boyfriend or whatever, like there are moments. I think what I do is I take those discoveries of injustice and I channel it and I turn it into something different. Like, whether it's a march or whether it's a PPT or whether it's creating a new program or starting a new building or whatever, I think that's what motivates me. I become like an accomplishment junkie. Like when people say no to me, I'm like, you said no? Watch what I'm gonna do now, right? Just try it. I feel bad for my kids, right? Like, what are they gonna inherit when, every day there's another, it's like in the last couple of months, there's been 10 Indigenous people that were shot by the RCMP. That just continues. That number seems to grow. No one's ever held accountable. Are they gonna be safe? If the government actually enforces these TRC's calls to justice, that then, the children will learn in school that this is how you treat Indigenous people, and this is the devastation that they come from, but they're still here. The fact that we're still here when they put like smallpox in blankets and took our land and took our children, and like there's so many things, and we're still here. I have zero control on how I'm going to be remembered. That's not mine. That's whoever's narrative. They'll see me however they want to see me. What I hope for the Native Women's Shelter, I hope to be out of business. I hope that women don't need a shelter. I hope they don't need the services of a shelter. There's a lot of trauma that's happened through residential school. It's over 100 years of residential school, losing our language, losing our culture. Like, it's not easy. So my dream would be that it is easy. It is easy as any other person, right? That we're not going to be racially profiled, whether we're by the police or by a social worker or by a teacher or by anyone, Oh no, it's a surprise. It's all on this side? Oh,
Oh!
What is Nkosi?
Vicky.
It's funny because my phone always says, when I ask it to call, it says calling Nkosi. And Nkosi makes me think of a body of water. Nkosi, the body of water, as much as that could be the torrential rains, the ocean that rages and goes with the waves, goes with the seasons, and Nkosi is somebody I really appreciate in my life. Nkosi is a life force. She's a voice of reason, and a voice of reason that often sets fire under one's seat and gets them to get up, commit, and get engaged. So yeah, love you so much, Nkosi.
Think about this, if you have the visual of it, between Fielding going down to Côte Saint Luc, there was regular drag racing going down West Hill Street. That would be the norm. I remember as I grew older, and I was always into music, and we'll probably get into that later, but I would always be blasting my music. So sometimes I would see people walking by and I turn up the music and they'd look at me and say, yeah, that's the guy with the music and stuff like that. But it was a very, very different time. And I always get some, not say chills, but it's always a good feeling when I'm driving through NDG and we call people say going through the old neighborhood, but it brings back a lot of great memories.
Them just no want, them no want do nothing. Well listen, better be in the P's and Q's. If not buy my friend and his ooze. This one ugly little like news. Can't fit, get out my shoes. No one can live without food. Man can you live in just food. Hey, hi, we rise this morning. Give thanks for life. A new day for you to try yet nothing you're doing. Contributive to life, your skylark. Cause the day pass you by, soon you'll be complaining. Say, things not right, how could it be?
Brian Smith. I was born and raised, and I tell everybody I was born and raised on Walkley. And when people think about Walkley is a rough street, but there was a birthing center there. Can't remember the name of it right now. Oh, actually, Catherine Booth, that's it. Catherine Booth Birthing Center. I was born there, grew up on a street called Fielding in West Hill. Back then, you had a gang called the Walkley Gang, and you had another gang called the Benny Gang. So, and you had another gang called the Yo-Yo Gang. So once again, it was like the Yo-Yo Gang, the Walkley Gang, the Benny Gang. Not necessarily blacks that were in it, but you heard about it like in the high schools, because one of the things too as well. Where I lived right next to Marymount High School. I grew up with both parents, Joe and Valerie from Manchester, Jamaica. I've got an older brother, Nigel, and I have a younger brother named Ian. And my brother, Nigel, he's about 362 days older than me. Going back at some of our older pictures, people used to think that we were twins. Going to the park, I'm born 68, he's born 67. And people figure, we were twins and stuff like that. He was like the top kid in elementary school, getting all the prizes and stuff like that. I was like the little brother tagging along.
The phone is the office, so that's it. So, working in this community business, it's always things that are coming up. There's always things that come up at the same time. So it's a life of what we call it multitasking. And as things go good, doors open up, good things, but there's also got to find solutions for things too at the same time. So.
I was a sports person first because I played all sports. Sports was my thing. My first football game was starting in the season and we were in the baseball playoffs and I had a choice. I had to tell my mother to call my baseball coach and say that I was sick. I can't come to the game, but I was on a bus going to play for football. So that was kind of like the end of my baseball career. Unfortunately, that's how things ended. It was a good choice because with the football, I went to Vanier College and I got recruited and I got a full football scholarship to Boston University. Boston University, as I said, there were a lot of good times, meeting people from all different parts of the world, parts of the United States, from the north, the south, and seeing how all these people, their different mentalities. For me at Boston University, I think that's where I really started to open up my eyes to say, hey, you know what? I'm a Black person and people are looking at me because of the color of my skin, and then getting exposure to different things because I started to get involved in student politics. I became the president of the Caribbean Club. Here I am, exposed to all these different things and encountering on campus sometimes with the police some racial attitudes and things like that have taken place. So, once again too, it's life is all about experiences, and so these are some of the things that I experienced at Boston University. So vibe time, you know what? Here it is. Maybe back in the mid-90s, I started selling music. So we'd share cassettes, copy cassettes, listen to it. I said, you know what? I'm collecting all of this music. Let me try to sell it. So I said, you know what? Okay, I'm just gonna create a name. Vibe time just popped out of nowhere. There was really no real thought about it. I remember I was down in Brooklyn on Flatbush and I saw these guys, they were selling cassettes out of a van. And I think one thing I remember, the guy who was selling it, he had a wad of cash in his hand. And I said, that's simple to do. Why can't I could do that? Like I said, I ran it as a business. I had to make sure I got the blanks. There's a lot of time and energy to go get double decks, make copies, get machinery. And then, from there I started, recording dances here in Montreal. Every Saturday night when there was a dance at a hall, I'd have a little booth there so people now could come and get their stuff from me. So it's like people would make orders. Okay, vibe time, you're gonna be at this tonight? Yeah, come and get me. People have their package.
Yeah, there's always things happening, and some people figure, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of, I don't even look at it as work because it's something that I really enjoy doing, so I get up, do stuff, you're helping people, you're changing lives. And, I'm in a position where, you can affect people's lives.
Growing up as a young child, there was always people who helped me along. So even when I was, in elementary school, there was always like, say, a hockey coach, a baseball coach, or sometimes it was me and my two brothers, my mother. It's a natural thing for me to give back, specifically where if I'm not going out of my way. If I'm driving downtown and I see somebody or somebody needs something, I don't mind helping anybody, more so if they're on the way. Sure, yeah, come on, no problem. But not everybody has that collective spirit in our world today. Everybody's like, you know what? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? And I see that when we have that mentality, what's in it for me? It's hard to get along. It's hard to get ahead. I think I've always been a giver. I've seen my parents being givers. A lot of people in my family are givers, but in life there are people who are takers. Financial literacy for me, I could say that I've always been interested in money, like even as a teen and stuff like that. I've been working since I was 9 years old. I had a paper route, but kind of like officially as far as with financial literacy, once again, somebody who's no longer with us. His name is Casey Cosgrove. He was working with an organization which is called SETI, which is now Prosper Canada. And he was at a workshop here in Montreal. This time now I'm working at the Jamaica Association of Montreal as a community or project coordinator or something like that. And sat in, went there. They were talking about this thing, financial literacy, said, go sit down, see what he's talking about. And what he was saying was, I said, wow, there's a program, there's something here, there's manuals that I could help myself, that I could help the youth that I'm working with, the seniors that I'm working with. So we kind of hit it off. I started incorporating financial literacy into some of my community projects because here now too, I'm always helping people, help them finding jobs, jobs to make money. Now, when you have that money, what do you do with it? So financial literacy is very, very important.
Hey. Shit is not the same as before. I ain't holding back no more. They say that I was friend, love and war. Well, come on, my child. Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not somebody that really studies names so much, but I said, you know what? I'm going to just, because here in Quebec, the whole bilingual thing. So I said, we're going to just call it money. Or money, whatever you want to call it. A talent show to promote financial literacy, but it's more so a talent show to promote financial literacy, Black History Month, and we just called it money at the same time. We just want to create a brand. So it's a talent show that we do the last Saturday in February, and it also gives the youth in the Greater Montreal area the opportunity for them to express themselves, their artistic talent. What usually happens is when the money comes in, people look at it and say, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to do my thing, I'm going to do my thing. And then, you get a project for a year or two, the money's done, and then the project is done. And, then it's just everybody's just hustling for the next money to come in. So you can understand that, but, If we look as of today, 2024, going to 2025, I think what is needed is that the organizations really, all of them, I don't even say all of them, need to go back and look at their governance and see what exactly they're doing to serve the community and serving the people. 6, 7 organizations doing the same thing. And then everybody's just scrambling for funding. They're not, the organizations themselves are not sustainable. Are we really there to serve the needs of the population? Or are we just there basically to get funding so that we can have a job and do a few things and give the government a report? Because I honestly feel that sometimes the government doesn't take the Black community serious. And I think that's reflective too, as far as the amount of money that, we get from governments for our programs, or the amount of money that comes from private foundations into the Black community. We talk about this whole thing about unity, but the unity is not there. We have to find strategies to empower the community, but for us to galvanize, come together. As I've gotten older, it gets really frustrating because, when we'll talk, we're going to do this. But when time comes for the action, for whatever particular reason, people don't move. And in most cases, it's because, you know what, they don't want to upset your funder or things like that. But I've known that if you push back at the funder a little bit, and and you're coming back to them with something which is the truth, they'll have to react back to you. Sometimes when things come easy for you, you're going to have your detractors out there. You're going to have people that, don't trust you, say you're doing this, you're doing that. But I've had people who've actually, went and said negative things about me, gone to my funders. I can only concentrate on what I'm doing, right? So I always put my best foot forward. If somebody wants to say something bad, sure, no problem. But, the proof is in the pudding. Awards are nice, but I'm not an awards person. I don't get a high off these things. It's always nice to be recognized. That's one thing. One of the awards that I'm most proud of was the Institute for Financial Literacy. So I was the Financial Literacy Educator of the Year. So this is something within the United States. Yeah, it just shows, the work that you put in and people recognize you, what you do. I've gotten awards from, the Borough of Côte-des-Neiges. I've gotten, recognitions from the federal government. And I think about it, I'm getting an award, it's great, it's good, you've done your work, but there's people out there who are hungry, there's people out there who are scared, discrimination, all these things that are taking place. So it's like to say, yeah, this award is good for me, but then after I get it, I say, you know what, I got to get back and try to help the community. There's work to be done. So if there's going to be a celebration, let there be a real celebration for the whole community. As I said, I think opening up my eyes too, I see where symbolism plays a big role in a lot of things, and a lot of us are attracted to this symbolism that, somebody gets an award or somebody gets a position, and everybody figures, yeah, everything is okay, but this whole big thing of systemic racism, it's still there.
Fall down, Lord, please. Let it fall down, Lord, please. Fall down, Lord, please. Let it fall down, Lord, please. Sometimes it's soft as a
My legacy is somebody who cared, somebody who gave to the community, somebody who loved the community, and somebody who wanted to see his community do the best, be the best, because his community deserves the best.
Hey Brian, how's it going, sir? I don't know if you expected to see me here, but I wanted to record this short little video just to voice my appreciation, just tell you, let you know how thankful, how grateful I am for having met you. I fresh into the country, no relevant work experience. Was very limited in the amount of hours that I could work because of university, and you just decided to give me a chance. That was all that I needed. And in many ways, you catapulted my life forward. Professionally, I got so much to show for it just because of you giving me that chance. I am very grateful for that. And I don't think I'm that special. I think that's just the way that you are. You just do that to people. You're just that interested in seeing people's potential. And I really like that. You have no idea the impact that you have on people around you. I'm very, very grateful that the world has you in it. That's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bonjour, Monsieur Smith. It's Bree here. I'm absolutely grateful to be handing out this moment of appreciation and of recognition to you. When we first got the chance to meet, it's because I was looking for a job and it was through a Facebook ad. And together, that's where I started my first position alongside you at CFE, the Canadian Foundation of Economic Education. And through that position, I've learned so many skills that I still up to this day use, not only as a social worker, but as someone who's extremely passionate about financial literacy. I just can't begin to say thank you enough. I am absolutely grateful to have gotten to know you throughout all the work that we've done, all the way up to Scale Up, the podcast. Oh my gosh, so much has transpired from us getting to know each other, and I can't wait for more that will obviously come in the future. Please take this moment. I know you work so hard, you work a lot, but please take this moment to really take in how much you are valued and that you are really, really loved in this community. Thank you so much.
Where's Denzel? You get Denzel?
As a matter of fact, you want to pay me?
I watched all our cartoons as a kid, obviously, and I saw the commercial for the figurines, and the one I remember the most was the $1 Million Man. I don't know why, but then when I turned on TV one day, I see the actual $1 Million Man. I'm like, oh, that's the guy that's the toy from the commercial because he dressed the same. And ever since then, I never stopped watching it to this day. That's how it happened. And then I just got so enamored because it was like these larger than life individuals that they all had different personalities. They were athletic, they were strong, they just caught your eye, and it just created an environment. So it's just action and just personalities, man. They stood out.
My pressure bad, bad, bad. My pressure mad, mad, mad. My pressure sick, 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 sick. I catch in a bad, bad, bad. My pressure bad, bad, bad. My pressure mad, mad, mad. My pressure sick, 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 sick. I catch in a bad, bad.
Who is Emar Mitchell? I was born in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to two Trinidadian parents. I grew up in NDG. Growing up was interesting because at that, they're from Trinidad. At that time, the fetting, the community, house parties. Grew up in NDG most of my life, all of my life for the most part. I went to an elementary school, and the cool thing about my elementary school is that it was very multicultural. There wasn't one predominant race. You didn't feel out of place, kind of thing, right? They did it like. There was, everybody grew up in this truly this melting pot. So as a result, I made a lot of friends from a lot of different backgrounds. I said, the ink makes your hands itch kind of thing, so it's good to wear gloves. Plus they look cool, so it's a win-win. My dad would take me wherever he went, did whatever whatever he had to do. I think the nice part is that my parents included me in everything. When my dad started Community Contact, it was in June of 1992. He was working for another newspaper, I think it was called Afrocan. And I guess he figured, you know what, I could do this. He was writing articles and stuff like that. And he was very much into journalism. So he decided to start a newspaper on his own. He was laughed at. He was like, it's sad because it's like he was told by his own people, oh, black people don't read. It's like, what? And he said, it's not gonna last long. And he did get support at first. It's much like the stereotypical story of anybody just trying to accomplish something on their own. And then he went and he spoke to a guy that he did some work for, because he used to do some construction renovation work on the side. A gentleman, he passed on, but his name is Larry Wexler. And Larry Wexler, and it was like one of those jokey situations. He told Larry, he's like, Larry, I want to start my own newspaper. And Larry's like, come on, stop. And he's like, no, seriously. Nice Jewish guy. And he's like, okay, you know what? I will give you the money to start the newspaper, and I'll take a year's. That's how he got the help to start. And then he didn't look back. He went forward, and he featured many people in the first issue. I know one that comes to mind is the Grant brothers for boxing. He was in the first issue, and he did it was sorry.
Did it ever get to a point where you did the delivery and you figured out that the final product wasn't good?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. And it's usually a loved one. Sometimes you don't know this at first, right? But then a loved one would call her my dad. My dad would look at it as like, you jackass, you spelled la 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 wrong, huh? You spelled I'm like, what are you talking about? I forgot what it was. There was an ongoing joke about it, but it was just, when you see that mistake, it's just like, you're like, you gotta deliver it, and you just kind of pray that nobody notices, but, what are you gonna do? Well, it starts with who are we going to feature in this issue? So we basically would like to have three main stories. And once we come up with the three, we would have a discussion and say, hey, how would this person work? How would this person work? Would people like to know about this person and the relevancy within it? And from that point on, it's like, all right, give it to the writer, give it to certain people to do the interviews and to write on it. And I just make sure the ads, and we try to get also new ads because we need to get paid. Make sure all the ads are in place and set up, so where I could set it up. And once the stories are done, once those stories are done, we're pretty much good to go, because we have our regular writers that say their little piece based on whatever their shtick is, and you just combine that, because it comes in late all the time. No matter how hard you try, you know how to try to do a deadline. Yeah, right. You try to say the deadline, and it's like Thursday night at 8 o'clock, people are still sending things in, so whatever. My dad is Egbert Gay. He's the founder of Community Contact. He's an editor and a journalist. His accomplishments, we don't have time to get into that. But he did, you know, he's well known for being on the Gang of Four on CJAD. He's the only Caribbean-born person that was on the radio, AM radio at that time for quite a while, dare I say. Forgive me if it's not, if there's somebody else, but you know, he came from nothing. You know, he came from a little place in Trinidad called the Settlement, and there was only one room with him and his two brothers and his mom, and they came from nothing. I remember going back to Trinidad and to see where the house was, because when they moved, they basically picked up the house and moved. That was basically the way they lived. And to see where he got, come to Canada, you know, a French place, and not still to this day. At that time, he did it. I don't know how he navigated through speaking French, because he was terrible at speaking French. I remember one time he went to court for a traffic ticket, and it was like he was the last case, and the judge was tired and all that stuff, and he goes in there trying to speak French, and the judge is like, no, please, just speak English. She's like, no, but I want to speak French. He's like, no, please, speak English. It's okay. You can speak English. I'll understand. He's like, you know what? Forget it. Never mind. It's okay. Forget it. So yeah, that was my dad. My dad was, no one could tell a story like my dad. And I think that's what made him a very good journalist, is that my dad could tell, you know, get into little details that people won't think of and stuff like that. You could tell a little story and big up certain things that people wouldn't think of it about that. So he was an amazing guy. People think that, like, now that I'm running the newspaper, you know, I just took it from my dad and went with it. But the truth is just like, when I started working with my dad, you know, I saw that he needed help. So I went to school, learned the graphic design stuff, when I graduated, came to the office, helped them make the paper that was running monthly, bi-weekly, and stuck with him through all the tough times of late nights and the printing, you know, because in those days to print was nightmarish, because if you see a mistake, you have to redo everything over again. You have to print things all over again, right? So it was like, I stuck with, you know, you're not gonna leave your dad in the office like at 10 o'clock at night, right? You stuck with him to the end. Even when you were at home, he would call me and say, oh, let's go to the printer. We had to drive the paper to the printer. And sometimes that would be in a snowstorm, midnight or whatever. And in the morning, then we have to drive to wherever, back to the place to load up the car. And we didn't have a big van, we had a little car. So the back seat would be all piled up and all that stuff. So, you know, I went through the trenches with him because he was my dad. And again, we did everything together. We are similar in a way that we like to, I mean, I was told I could tell a story, but not as good as my dad, just in my own different way. He's more, sometimes he could see things from a different perspective. I'm more conservative. I see things from a different perspective, but it's more of a conservative side. He's more understanding than I am. Sometimes I could be, but sometimes it's basically black and white, and a spade is a spade. So, I mean, I think my dad has more of a broader view of the world than I do at times. We'll see. it's always something. And now that I'm a dad, I have to be home to put my kid to bed. So I have to read him a story. I have to do the whole bedtime routine. So that plays a big factor as well. And as much as I want to be there for the community, I'm a dad first. That's, that's pretty much it. I do enjoy it. It could be frustrating at times, because, you don't, but you don't really get the certain support you're looking for that you thought you would get, right? But there are people that really are behind you, and you can't forget about those people. So, but like my dad said, it's a thankless job. I knew that, I saw it then, and I see it now, and I'm not looking for a thank you. I'm not looking for sympathy either. I'm looking for support. That's it. I would like to get to a broader platform. And the only, I wish I could continue doing what I'm doing, but maybe to some degree, newspaper, with social media, with the digital age, I know to some degree, probably I'm not gonna be able to continue the physical newspaper for too long. I will try to do it as much till the wheels fall off, but I know that I have to find a way to make community contact a brand and make it within, a media platform, but in a different way. I really enjoy the process of it. I really enjoy meeting the people. I enjoy being creative because I'm a graphic designer. And it gives me a chance to, I try to be, I'm an artist in that sense that I like to create things, trying to make the paper look a certain way, and then maybe a couple of years from now redesign it and all that kind of stuff. We try to make the newspaper a little bit of everything to where people want to see what's going on. And we're not sticking to different things. We're trying to be broad and let people say, okay, if you want to know what's going on this weekend and this party or this and that, we try to let you know as much as we can. If we get the story, we try to bring that to you. It's good to always have a relationship with your audience as much as possible without, you can't sell out and say, okay, well, even if we get to a bigger, broader platform, we're not gonna, if somebody a community guy calls, oh, I'm having this church event or whatever, fundraiser, we're like, oh, we don't do those no more. No. It's not the same, obviously, without my father. I mean, the process with my dad was so fun because we've been in the office joking around, and you never know who's gonna walk through that door. And he passed 4 days before my son was born. So if he didn't pass, they wouldn't have known anything was wrong with my wife, and I could have lost my son. I would have lost my son. So God works in mysterious ways, and I don't question him. And do I wish my dad would have saw him? Yes, of course, but that's just the way life goes. I think he wanted to accomplish more in terms of getting community contact, a bigger platform. But I think for the most part, he lived a pretty good life from where he started to where he ended up. I wish he lived to see his grandson, but honestly, his legacy will be a man of the community, a loving, caring dad, father, man of the community. He cared for everybody. He cared almost too much. One of the coolest things that ever happened is when we were asked to travel with the Canadian government to go to we were traveling with the Canadian government and the Jamaican government to go cover this press conference in Toronto. So we were with the Prime Minister on Air Force One. So we had to drive to Ottawa, go in this private hangar, and the security, Canadian Secret Service or whatever met us, took us on the plane. And at that time I had a really crappy iPhone, so I couldn't, and you weren't allowed to take photos, but I just managed to sneak a photo of me and my dad. I'm like, and when I see this big Air Force One jet airplane, I'm like, wow, we did something, my dad did something right here. It's like, we're traveling with the Prime Minister. We're the only press from our community, I would say, to ever do that. Life lessons from my dad. My dad, like I said, my dad included me in everything. So it was like, I try to do the same with my son. The father I want to be involved in my son's life as much as possible without intruding. So I start him from young. We go for walks. I take him for walks almost every weekend. We hang out together, we play together, try to create a vibe together, to know that I'm there for him, and he could tell me anything. There's no secrets, no, because that's the way my dad was with me. A very casual approach to it. It's just like, okay, and if I was in the wrong, he'd tell me I'm in the wrong, and this is why you're in the wrong, and it would be like a jokey thing. He's like, don't be a jackass, don't do that, you don't want to do that, come on now. And I want to be like that, like serious, but not, just let him know, like, your dad has your best interests at heart, and he's not trying to persuade you to do anything that's bad for you, because he actually genuinely cares. And that was the way my dad was with me, and I would like to be that with him.
Coming here and discovering Canada, I remember like seeing snow for the first time and like loved it because there was something new. You didn't feel the cold back then when you were a kid. Like right now, like this morning, it's snow. I could do without snow. I just shovel off my car and get on my driveway. Like back then when I was a kid, you couldn't wait for the snow to fall, because then you had a snowball fight, and they would build, the city would come and clear the snow and build these mountains, and you play King of the Mountain on the snow hill and all that kind of stuff, man. Like, coming here, discovering a different way of life, new friends, like having opportunities that you would never have had coming from a rural district in Cedar Valley, St. Anne, Jamaica.
She want a good life, no one to cause her pain and strife. She want a good life, no man to cause her pain and strife.
I remember a lot about growing up in St. Anne, Jamaica. Our district was called Cedar Valley, and Claxonville district. I went to Claxonville Elementary School. I went to, they call it infant school back then, which would be like, I guess, kindergarten here. I remember walking to school. We had to walk Like you're walking far, 5, 6 years old, you walk to school. Sometimes you have to walk home for lunch, then walk back to school. So yeah, I have great memories. I remember Easter being a big thing, and flying kites. Easter morning was one of the things that I looked forward to the most, was because it was, it was full of festivities, and we'd have competition, who would make the best kites and who could fly their kites the furthest, all that kind of stuff, man. I don't think kids don't do that stuff anymore. When we started boxing, like, it was affordable. If you didn't have money, you didn't pay. If you had some talent and you showed that you could fight a little bit, like, that was good enough for the people we started with. Honestly, you know what? Because there's a boxing club in Ville Saint Laurent in walking distance from where we grew up, and those kids I used to go to the park with every day and play soccer or basketball or softball or baseball, whatever it was. 2 of those brothers discovered a boxing gym in our area and came back the next day and told the whole group about it. And then that night, the whole group went to the boxing club. And that was my introduction to boxing. I didn't find boxing. I didn't search for it. I found it by accident, or it found me. My brother Howard was more a playboy, man. He was that guy. I focused more on studies. I mean, like, we discovered boxing at an early age, at 11, and started boxing then, but I always focused on my schooling. I knew that my education was something that nobody could take away from me, even though boxers were looked at as, these dumb jock type athletes, that they have no brains, they're all brown, no brains. I try to prove that theory wrong. I was gonna say, I could box and go to school, so I boxed my way. I turned professional. I was in Vanity College. I gravitated towards individual sports because, like, individual sport, the onus is on you. It's not on your teammate. It's not on, your other guys on the team. Like, boxing, you got put work in to get the results. So you put work in the gym, you'll see the results and the outcome of the fight. So I always kind of like that aspect of individual sport instead of relying on a teammate or blaming a teammate. You have nobody to blame but yourself if things doesn't work out, My brother is the kind of guy that he's a conspiracy theorist type believer.
I've seen it. Why do you think there's a war in Israel? There's money there. It's all about money.
Not necessarily.
Yes, it's all about money. War is money, 100%. Somebody has to pay for the weapon that's being sent.
You talk about, the current events, the war in Ukraine, the war in Israel and Gaza, all kinds of. So I mean, there's always you come in here, there's always something going on.
Google this Jewish guy because he's not normal.
With better quality punches, Rogue will get through with a couple of Grant straight back just to put the pressure on. There's that long left hand which has worked so well for him.
67.9 pounds. En 36 combats professionnels, il a remporté 33 victoires, 17 par KO et 1 combat nul. His professional records.
You think you are so fine. Big chat no work, yeah, man, watch the time. Stop playing with my mind. Oh, man, no in a joke when she will want the wine.
I took the world title opportunity, and first time was in Las Vegas. I fought Lonnie Bradley. We fought to a draw in a fight that I thought I won. The second opportunity came from that fight. He had detached retina and had to vacate the title. Then the 2 highest available contenders had to fight for the vacant title. And I was number 1, and Ryan Rhodes from England was number 2. I went to England to fight an Englishman for the WBO vacant title, and set up camp over there. Went there, did the work, put the work in, and ended up winning the title on the road. And that's an accomplishment that not too many fighters from here or from a foreign country go into someone's backyard and beat them in their backyard in their home city, and I think that was probably my biggest accomplishment in the sport. Having seen Howard's success as an amateur, and we used to travel on the national team together. It inspired me. Like Howard used to, I was bigger than him. I was just, like to this day, a lot of people still think I'm his older brother because I'm bigger, but he's older. He's just built like my mom, and I'm built like my dad, more or less. But he's my older brother, and he used to fight before me when we were in tournaments because it goes by weight class. He was fighting at 139 pounds, 63.5 kilos, and I was fighting at 71 kilos and 75 kilos on the national team. And he always would fight before me in tournaments, right? I wouldn't say I was nervous for him, but you're always cautious. You're always a little bit nervous. But like, one of the things I use as a motivating factor when we were kids fighting and representing Canada was like, if Howard fought before me and he won, which he did most of the time, it put pressure on me. And Howard won, I gotta go out there and win also. Like I gotta follow my brother's footsteps. But then if you went out there and he lost, I would use the loss as motivation. Like, oh, Howard lost, so shit, I go out there and whoop this guy's ass.
But for me, the blessing that I get is to help these kids, to help all the kids, to try to make a difference in one of them. You know what I mean? That's, for me, that's the biggest blessing. To try to help these individuals. That some of the guys, we have all kinds that come here. There's some of them going off to the side. We grab them and put them back in the straight line. You know what I mean? To work with everybody like that. For me, that's for me, that's the biggest blessing. You know? Yeah.
Thank you, Howard.
All right.
Yeah, I never looked at myself as a celebrity, and to this day, still I don't. Like I'm more or less a sportsman, and like trials and tribulations. You're talking about if I ever felt slighted by the community. Like I think if my brother and I are who we are, and accomplish the things that we have accomplished, right? But I was maybe had a Quebec name, a Jean-Guy, a Tremblay, or whatever. Like I think I'd be a superstar in this province, right? But I'm an Anglophone, I'm black, like so that's two strikes against you right there. But like I'm not a guy that's gonna pull a race card and say, if I was white or French, like this would be much better for me. Like the reality is, it is what it is, and you do the best with what you have. I'm a Quebecer. I've been here for over 40 years, right? But then your accomplishments are not the same. Like there's guys that we've trained, like Lutembute. He came here from Romania, and he was adopted by the Francophone people. But what does that say about Montreal or the sports network or fans in Montreal? Like, because I'm a black Anglophone, like I don't get support, where another white non-Francophone will come to do the same thing, and he's supported like you've never seen before. I really can't knock the system for that. It is what it is, and you just gonna have to roll with the punches. Like, when you're in the ring, like, shots are coming, you gotta block them, roll them, and move on. Well, the Otis Grant Friends Foundation, it came around in 1999 after I had that car accident. I was asked by a community program to loan my name. They're having difficulty feeding their lists, the people that they serve at Christmas time. And they asked me if I could loan my name because I was just getting out of hospital, and I had a lot of press from what I heard back that summer. Was on the news every night. They update how he's doing, if I'm in a coma, if I'm out of your coma, that type of stuff. And this guy, this Reverend, called me. Showed us, you're went through a lot this summer, and I want to know if you can loan your name to help us bring some food for Christmas time giving. And more than that, I said yes because I was in hospital. I felt lucky to be alive, and I felt the need that like I need to do something to show my appreciation that I'm still here. That like I didn't lose my life in that accident. I had Sammy Fruits and Sharky's were my sponsors. Reggie was Sharky and Telep was Sammy Fruits, and we met at Sharky's. And I told this guy, I said, listen, it was me, Reggie, Nick, who else was there? Arthur. I asked Telep, I said, what do you guys do with your stuff at Sammy Fruits when you come in and you don't sell it there? He said, oh yeah, we donate it to Montreal. I said, before you donate your next batch, I don't take it, I want to give it to this program that needs to feed some people, you know? And then he said, okay, leave it with me. I'm going to be putting in my Christmas order soon. And I'll just tell my suppliers that I'm involved with a food drive to help community, you know? That was, it was ordering one pallet. One pallet is like 1,000 pounds of onions or potatoes or whatever the produce is. He was ordering one. They sent him an extra pallet for the food drive. And in doing that, in 3 weeks, he brought me a 10 ton of food to give away. And it was so much food that I couldn't give it to one program. I couldn't give it to one organization because it would just go bad. It would spoil because it was perishable. So we went, and that winter, that Christmas, we grabbed the yellow pages and the white pages, and we looked up churches, community programs, anybody that fed people with food. We would call them, "Boo, come on this day, bring a truck and come pick up some food to serve your clientele." And from doing that first winter of 1999, I realized then and there that I could use my name to make a difference in my community. During probably the worst period of my life, I saw an opportunity to use my name to make a difference. And I grabbed that opportunity and I've been running with it ever since. I do a lot in the community and a lot more than some other organizations that I know that's out there doing work, but like I don't do the stuff for me to get accolades for and all that. So I'm the guy that's behind the scenes. It's like I have about maybe 6 to 10 seniors on my list that I'll deliver those Christmas baskets personally. And I'll get a God bless you, Otis, thank you so much. That's all I need, is like just making the day of some elder senior ladies usually that just, oh, God bless you, they pray for you, and I'm good with that.
So what do Howard and Otis Grant represent to me?
They have accomplished a lot and continue to accomplish amazing things.
Howard et Otis Grant représentent beaucoup pour moi. C'est comme une famille, des amis.
They're more than just my coach. We have like one-on-one conversations. Sometimes we go out, we have dinner. So it's more like friends, family, and they mean a lot to me because
through your wisdom, stories, and encouragement, you empower me more and more every day, and for that I truly am grateful. Enough love and respect to both. And by the way, it's not that kind of party. I am wearing a bathing suit.
The gym has an impact in so many ways. Like parents will bring their kids that are going the wrong way or that are having trouble or that's being bullied in school, and they'll bring them to the gym and just having them learn to defend themselves, learn how to box. You could see their self-confidence will start to grow, and the gym, the foundation, everything that is about the Grant Brothers, Otis Grant, the Otis Grant and Friends Foundation. It tries to shine a positive light in the community. When I'm gone, I think the community work is gonna go with me, because I don't think my wife is in it with me right now, but I don't think it's something that my kids are gonna like gravitate to. You know, I don't think it's something like that. I've been asked, why don't you start a family foundation? I don't think my kids, my daughter, my son, like, not everybody is community oriented, you know? And so let them find their way in the world, and
what do the Grant brothers mean to me? When I first started boxing there years ago, after I came out of the Army, I was really messed up mentally, and they helped me through everything. You know, Howard and Otis would always talk to me, give me advice, help me deal with everything I was going through with the stress of the mental PTSD. And when I stopped boxing because of my kids, you know, they always told me anytime I needed, I could just call them, talk to them, whatever, for whatever, they were always going to be there for me. And they always held their word. And I came back as a coach, and every day I get to work next to them and coach fighters next to them, listen to everything they're saying, all the advice, the experience, the knowledge. It's invaluable. It's truly an honor to be coached with them every single day. So essentially, what do Howard and Otis mean to me? They're family.
She no teeth, young guide over us. Emperor Selassie, Isis and knees could never get weak. I know it is a must for us to make it home, even through them, you're gnashing of teeth. Them for know I'm from the mountain and the valleys. Oh, oh.